Welcome everybody to our live demo by 3C Software. Today we're going to be covering business simulations for costing and profitability. Happy to have you guys here. This is a quick 30-minute live demo with a couple of conceptual slides before that. So we want to jump as quickly as possible into our software and show some real world example of business simulations that are relevant in today's fast-paced, changing world, right? So let's start with a brief introduction. So my name is Adrian Wachowski. I'm the solution leader and sales leader at 3C Software. Hope you're gonna see during this 30 minutes that I'm a product costing enthusiast and a controller by heart. I've been doing this for many, many years, and I'm very passionate about the topic of costing and profitability. A little bit about 3C Software. 3C Software we are pioneers in the software industry when it comes to cost and profitability solutions. We've been doing this for 31 years, a long time for a software company, and we invented a piece of software named Impact ECS, which is one of the leading cost and profitability solutions in the world. Having said that, let's jump to the topic. So when we talk about business simulations, what are we talking about, right? We're talking about analytical capabilities, and analytical capabilities we consider one of the aspects of analytical capabilities is not only to get more insights, but also be able to run, create, and maintain business simulations. There are two requirements to establish a meaningful simulation environment for your company. One of them is having the right data at the right place to do the right thing, meaning the integration of data and the access to the results of the data is very, very important. So we need to make sure we can connect data across all systems that we have available in our ecosystem, be it our ERP systems, be it our MES systems, shop floor systems, data warehouses, BI warehouses, you name it, right? All of these systems might and probably contain cost and profitability relevant information that is important when we want to create accurate business simulations. So a lot of times with our software, we come in and we act as a mirror or expand your ERP capabilities, as a lot of data resides in the ERP systems around the world, right? And then what we do, we act as this simulation engine, almost a sandbox environment for your very specific business calculations, logics. We store the results, and we're also able to compare the results, right? So number one requirement to have a meaningful simulation environment is to have the integration of this data and the access to this data, right? The second requirement is the building and maintaining of the business simulation models, right? So how do I create an environment that supports, number one, real world situations, not just something that happened 2-3 months ago, but how is it today, and how might my business environment look like in 2-3 months, in 6 months, right? How detailed do we want to go? What is the granularity that we want to make these business simulations? These are all questions that you need to ask yourself, and we as cost and profitability experts are here to help you and advise you on what granularity does it make sense to run these business simulations, right? It's always a balance between what is the effort versus what is the meaningful results that you are getting out of it. So it needs to support real-time world situations. We need to deliver timely results, so you don't have time of 1, 2, 3 days to run these simulations. It should happen in a matter of seconds, minutes, max, right? And it should include measurable and meaningful KPIs. And that that does not always mean just, okay, show me my gross margin, show me my net profit margin, right? I will walk you guys through a couple of very meaningful, tangible metrics that our customers use to compare and measure against, right? And then the last requirement to build and maintain these simulation models is to have an environment that you can self-maintain and self-create or self-serve and apply a very consistent logic and assumptions at any point in time, right? Meaning if your sales forecast changes, if your freight rates change, if your raw material prices change, if your bill of materials have changed, if you have new products, right? All these kind of things need to be very easily maintainable in your environment that you are creating these business simulations, right? So just a quick setting the stage here. And then when we talk about business simulations, what are some of these real world examples, right? Because today it is not good enough anymore to have just access to data. To really create value in your organization or to provide value to your leaders in your organization, you or your team need a clear vision of what business simulations are needed to make the right decisions that we need to make, right? And what are the right decisions and what are the actions that we need to take? Some of these real world examples we listed here. So what's driving profit performance and what areas in the business need attention? So do we have any outliers compared to the last couple of months? Where are we making decisions on contribution margin but losing money when considering total product cost, right? So there might be some automated filters when you can say, okay, yeah, if my contribution margin is, if I'm making money with my contribution margin but losing money with my total product cost, there might be something going on in my cost to serve area of my P&L. What are some of the levers that I can pull to reduce overhead or shared service cost, right? That's always a big question, right? And by the way, the answer is not, oh, well, let's just cut the budget by 10%, right? That's not the answer. That's not how we create a culture in our organization that follows a healthy cost culture, a healthy profitability culture, right? What's the total cost to serve by customer, by channel, by region? How do these customers in each region compare against each other? And these comparisons they don't only include the contribution margin metrics, but I might say, okay, how many of them are direct deliveries? What is my retention? What is my what are my packaging costs compared by customer, et cetera, et cetera. So all these cost to serve metrics are very valuable in today's world to know, first of all, what is going on with your customer, how much does it really cost me to serve my customer, but then also even further to have a meaningful conversation with your customer and say, hey, this is what's happening. This is what's causing to my business. Let's find a win-win situation where we can be more efficient, right? How many variations of a product do we make? What's the cost and profits of each of these product variations? We have a lot of customers that deal with a great variety of packaging configurations. It's a very big topic, and the notion of having bill of materials and packaging bill of materials in an ERP system can be quite challenging, and we help a lot of customers of ours to overcome these challenges. What costs are we putting into the product and not recovering on price, right? Maybe there's some added values, or this customer is very specific. It might be a big customer, the Walmarts, the Publix, the Krogers of the world, and I'm always adding a little bit of packaging to it, or having small 4-packs instead of 6-packs. These kind of examples, is this really profitable for me, or do I have to have a conversation with these customers, right? So these are some of these real world examples that we see on a daily basis. Companies create business simulations around. Right? This is if you don't take anything away from this live demo, take away the simulation capabilities matrix, right? So what we see here is where your system that you have today are in terms of robustness and flexibility, and where the state-of-the-art companies that have access and do all these enterprise class cost and profitability calculations, where they are, right? So if you look on the top left screen of this chart, we see the ERP systems, and we all agree ERP systems, they are transactional systems, they're made to transact, they're super robust, they are, but they're very limiting in flexibility or in simulation capabilities, right? You can't just go ahead and just create as many scenarios or simulations as you want. It's a much bigger act to do. On the bottom of the chart, we see these user-defined applications, and these are typically not as robust and a little bit more flexible because they were created for from maybe your organization, and they serve a very specific purpose to calculate the cost, calculate a profit, right? Calculate a price to sell a new product, but they're very in a very controlled environment. There's usually one person that has all the knowledge of it, and it's not very flexible to change. Might be an old coding, et cetera, right? So there's also this entire world of these user-defined applications or niche systems, as we call them, where yes, they're quite robust, they serve a purpose, but they're not very flexible as our business environment that we're in changes consistently. Right? On the bottom right screen, part of the screen, we see spreadsheets, as you know, and we all agree they're super flexible and they're not very robust, right? They have limited controls, they have limited auditability, they have limited security and integrity aspects to it, and it's just a non-scalable environment when you talk about large data sets that are a lot of times required for running really meaningful business simulations, right? And on the top right of the screen that is where our platform Impact ECS fits in. We're just as robust as any ERP system that you will see in the world, but we are super flexible in handling very unique business logic and environments, and creating an environment for you to self-serve and self-create and self-maintain these business simulations, right? So top right is where Impact ECS fits in. Meaningful simulations and comparisons uncover best results, right? And when we talk about business simulations, I want to show you a couple of examples what I mean when I talk about business simulations. So for example, we have three different versions of a bill of material. We have three different versions of a raw material price. We have three different versions of a price that I'm selling this product at. I have three different versions of a work center rate, right? And what all these together, I can say I want to choose the BOM version 2 with the raw material price version 1, with the price book version number 3, with the work center rate version number 3. And this creates a scenario. And for my scenario number 2, I can do the same, but just now the BOM 3 version and the raw material price version 1, price book 1 version, etc. Right? So we have the capability of picking and choosing these individual versions of these attributes and data inputs that make up your product cost and your profitability calculations, right? And then what we want to do, what we see on the right side, is we want to compare now my scenario 1 with my scenario 2, my scenario 1 with scenario 3. They have comparing different scenarios which can have multiple purposes or different purposes, right? So this is very important to take away from today, is I need an environment where I can mix and pick any type of data input, calculate a scenario, and then compare them versus another scenario.
Adrian, if you don't mind, I'd be happy to jump in. I have a
Great.
question from the audience right now.
Absolutely.
Excellent, cool. So we have Ian joining the call, and his question is, how would the simulation capability be applied to evaluate the fluctuating demand impacts of COVID? So how are you using simulations to figure out how to address some real world situations that are going on right now?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's certain metrics, right? How did my supply chain change, right? Do I have less truck deliveries, more direct ship deliveries? I probably don't have any will call or pickups anymore. So how does the customer behavior? Did the customer behavior change, and what kind of impact does it have on my cost and then profitability of these customers, right? Because last year they were super profitable because they just picked up from our local stores, right? Now they are demanding, now we need to ship all these products to them. Am I incurring a cost? Am I really just passing the cost along? Am I delivering some of the cost? What additional cost do I have from it? Can I pass all of that along to my customers? So all these kind of simulations are very valuable, especially with COVID. So customer behavior is one business simulation that we can do, and I'll show you an example in just a second. Number one is changes in demand and supply, right? It might be that some of my raw materials are not as easily accessible anymore, or my raw material prices have changed due to COVID because of higher demand of it, right? What kind of impact does that have on my products that I produce or distribute? And then, can I pass along this price increase to my customers? Yes or no, right? It's a very best practice approach to discover these kind of potential risk or opportunities very early, to then take action and have conversations with your customers and say, hey, this is what's happening for me on my supplier side, on my product, my distribution side. I'm struggling over here, still making money with the same price, right? So that's just a couple of examples. Hope it answered your question. Okay, so let's move on to, I prepared two simplistic demos inside of our software that I want to show you guys. I'm going to pull up Impact ECS, and what you see now on the screen is the Impact ECS desktop client, and you see a screen where it's a very simplistic profit and loss statement. I have a profit and loss statement for my base scenario and my what if scenario. And right now I have 0 variances, and that is because I have these areas of revenue, cost of goods sold, my rebates, my cost of compliance, my sales, transportation, warehouse. All of that is comparing the same scenarios, okay? So what I want to do is I want to go into this cost of goods sold aspect and make a raw material price change, and then recalculate all my bill of materials and see what the impact might be. So when I click on this cost of goods sold aspect, I jump into a lower level of input data. And in this case, we see here I have my bill of material versions that are in my cost of goods sold. There I have my raw material price versions. I have my routing versions. I have my work center rate versions. And what I prepared here is an example of if the commodity of gold increases in price by 15%, right? And I can see here an example of 15%. I have a couple of other commodities. It's just a very simple drop-down menu. I can choose my gold 15%, and I can calculate that. And what I'm going to see here is, here's all the raw materials that are impacted by the commodity of gold. Here's my standard price I had before. And if it goes up by 15%, here's my impact or price increase that I have due to that for these raw materials. And in this next step, I actually see this is the impact it would have on my current WIP and finished good that I have in inventory. Right? So now I calculated it on the commodity price increase on my raw materials, right? And if we go up a level as we were here, we see we're comparing now our standard cost versus with gold going up. So now I want to understand what is the impact on my finished goods that I'm planning to produce, okay? And if I recalculate this scenario here, what we're going to see is there are, it took 4 seconds, and I think it's for a couple thousand finished good items. So if I see here, due to a change in my bill of materials, there's 0 variances. Due to a change in my routings, there's 0 variances. I didn't change my work center rate, so therefore there's no variances. And if I look at my raw materials, I have variances now at a finished good product level that I can identify, right? All these. And now I want to go up a level again and see, okay, what is my overall impact on my P&L? So if I go up a level here and choose this what if scenario of gold goes up 15%, and I restate this P&L, then I will see a variance here. Or this is my total variance of 216,000, and this is my impact in my cost of goods sold due to my business simulation in this area of cost of goods sold. Right? Just a quick simulation. I think it's a very unique model, going from a P&L view to a more detailed level view, and you can see I can modify and change these inputs at any level of granularity, right? And it's very, very important. Now I want to shift the focus to the profitability simulations. And what you see here is a customer that on top of the screen, you see a bunch of information about this customer, right? We call it the local factors. Here's some customer attributes. Here's some customer statistics, such as my number of orders I had, how many shipment quantity, my net sales adjustment, what were my number of returns, pick lines, etc., number of will calls. Here's a link that leads me to all of my deliveries that I have some metrics around this customer. So just a very valuable overview of this customer, and all these views are created automatically based on input data, right? And on the bottom part of the screen, we see a P&L overview with even drill down functionalities. I can see here, this is my amount that I had with this customer for this specific month. Here's my industry amount, here's my corporate amount, and I can see, okay, how do these percentages of sales, an example, compare to my industry, compared to my overall company, all right? So that's a good indicator, making a big picture comparison. I also have a bunch of sections in my cost of goods sold, but in this case, I really want to focus on this, in these areas of cost to serve. For example, in my warehousing, I can see exactly how much does it cost me to receive and put away, manage my inventory, store, pick, pack, and load, customer service for wire, or how much does it cost me to handle returns, right? And for the specific customer, here's all my invoices that I have access to. Here's my channel results based on how it was shipped, right? Via our truck or will call. Here, it's pivoted via profit center that I have defined. And here are some of these metrics I talked about earlier, right? So here's my customer total. Here's it by channel. So direct ship, our truck, customer will call, or even others. And here's some of these metrics I mentioned earlier, some of these commercial metrics. What is my customer discount percentage of sale? What is my freight revenue percentage of sale? What is my delivery cost percentage for sale? My net sales per delivery, right? All these things are metrics that if you create them for each of these customers, you can easily compare them with each other and identify very early some of these risks and opportunities. I even have some employees, or in this case, sales, inside and outside sales that is allocated to it. So now let's focus a little bit on the business simulations aspect. When I go to the bottom of these local factors, I have this little button here called customer simulations. And when I click this button, it creates a simulation environment for this specific customer, right? I still have this amount. I have my invoice totals, my performance metrics, and then I have a couple of simulation selections that I selected. They can be really anything that you saw in these metrics that I want to make some changes and demonstrate to you how easy it is, right? So if I say, okay, if we can lower our percentage of returns from 7.89% to 4% for this customer, and at the same time, our picking goes down to 2%, right? Very simplistic, but of course, we all know this is not as simple to calculate in Excel or in the whatever tool you're using today, because it touches multiple aspects in your P&L. And so when I click this recalculate button, what it does, it recalculates with these new assumptions and tells me exactly where in my P&L did it have an impact on, right? Let's start with this. So my my percentage of returns changed, and this is the area that it had an impact on. I had my activity of net sales went down because my number of returns went down. My gross margin, my outside sales, my delivery, all these, and obviously my EBIT and EBITDA. So when I look at a P&L picture, what I see now is here are my amounts that I had prior, and here are my amounts, my simulation amounts that I had afterwards with these couple of adjustments. And I see if I decrease my picking and my decrease of the decrease the number of returns, then it will actually have a calculate to a difference in $400 for this particular month, right? Can be a big impact, can be not a big impact. But the concept is you can simulate around these metrics and then see, okay, what impact is it going to have on my business? What impact is it going to have on the total profitability of this customer, right? Or even some recovery activities where I say, okay, how can I bring this customer back to the profitability that I need it to be, right? Maybe you can come to a deal, say, hey, instead of our customer placing orders 20 times a month, if you only place it 5 times a month in bulk, we were able to give you an additional discount percentage because that is going to bring us back in line, right? Because our the cost to serve our customer would be too high, right? So just a couple of examples. Any question? I think I saw another question pop up before we go to the last slide of this.
Oh, no, go ahead, Adrian. We don't have another question. You can go ahead and wrap up. We're right on time.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, so just a couple of very simple 2 examples of business simulations around costing and profitability, especially during these ever-changing times. Simulations need to be delivered in accurately, timely, and insightful, right? And that is not always possible with the tools you have today, but it is possible with Impact ECS. And that's why I want to talk to you. Let's connect. Let's talk cost. Let's talk profitability. There's multiple ways of reaching us: LinkedIn, Twitter. Visit our website. Email me directly. I'm happy to talk cost and profitability with you. Thank you, guys, and have a good day.